Wouldn't it be wonderful if your small group leaders served consistently? Wouldn't you just love to see the kind of difference your church could make if every small group leader was committed to showing up and investing in kids, not just once a month or every other week or even most of the time, but every week? If you had more consistent small group leaders, I think you'd make a pretty big impact for the kingdom, don't you? You know, when small group leaders show up weekly, they make deeper connections. They develop greater influence, and they have a bigger impact with kids than they ever could by showing up inconsistently. Weekly small group leaders can transform your ministry. And they make recruiting and scheduling volunteers a whole lot easier, too. But if you're like most church leaders, you know recruiting weekly small group leaders can be such a challenge. Maybe it even seems impossible right now. Maybe you're already feeling just a little sick to your stomach as you even imagine how your small group leaders will react to the idea of an every week commitment. Will they faint? Run? Ask about serving in the parking lot ministry? Now, before you even have a meltdown, just even thinking about this idea, let me just tell you something I'm thinking might help. Yes, you need leaders to serve weekly. There's no doubt about that. But you know what? They need it more. Really! Every small group leader needs you to give them a place to serve consistently. Tom needs to serve weekly. Amber needs to show up consistently. And Josh, he needs to make an every week investment because they were designed by God to serve others, because they want to make a difference, and because when they serve more consistently, they're going to get so much more out of their serving experience. They just don't know it yet. So what if we changed our approach? Not, we need our small group leaders to serve consistently, but our small group leaders need us to keep drawing them towards serving more consistently, knowing it's going to be better for them in the long run. By serving weekly, your small group leaders have so much more to gain than lose. For real. They'll meet like-minded people. They're going to learn a new skill. They might improve their resume. They'll make great connections with other believers. And they'll invest in something bigger, much bigger. Why wouldn't they want to serve consistently? So if you want to recruit consistent small group leaders, then just ask. Ask for something bigger. Ask for something specific. Let's ask someone every week. Ask them to do something they'll enjoy. And start asking now. Let's just unpack some of those things. Let's ask for something bigger. You know, being a small group leader is a really big job, but sometimes we get so desperate for more small group leaders that we give easier job descriptions, like smaller, and we make smaller asks until the role of a small group leader sounds like something a trained monkey could do. But here's the problem. As we ask for less from our small group leaders, their job seems to matter less. If a volunteer's job description isn't big enough, it isn't compelling, and it doesn't feel very important. Your small group leaders are busy. They don't have time for everything, so you can bet they're only going to invest their limited time in the most important things, because none of us wants to do something that's inconsequential. But being a small group leader does matter. It's a really big deal. Do you believe that? Oh, do you believe that? I sure hope so, because if you want your small group leaders to commit to leading consistently, you've got to believe that showing up weekly really matters. And then you got to help them to believe it, right down to their toes. So give your small group leaders a bigger job description. They need you to ask for something compelling, something significant, something really big. Go ahead and ask them. I think they're going to rise to the occasion. Then let's ask for something specific. You know, once you deliver the compelling why behind the need that they've got to be consistent small group leaders, you're going to want to present a clear and doable job description of their role. But keep in mind, asking for something bigger doesn't mean that you ask small group leaders to do more stuff. It means you ask them to do one thing better. So if you want to create a more specific small group leader job description, ask, is it clear? When small group leaders receive their job description for the very first time, they should be able to walk away knowing exactly what you expect from them. ask, is it doable? Ask them to do just one thing, not 97 things. Remember, your small group leaders only have a limited amount of time to serve each week. Sometimes we can ask our small group leaders to do so much that their jobs become much more about administration, oh my goodness, than about relationships. Be smart about what you ask them to do. If you want consistent small group leaders, ask for something specific. Because if they've got too much to do or not quite enough, they won't be consistent for very long. Third thing, let's ask someone every week. When I was a church leader, I used to spend hours every week talking about how much we needed more consistent volunteers. I guess my senior pastor got a little sick of me talking about it all the time because one day he challenged me to talk a little bit less about the challenge I was facing and to spend 1 hour every week solving the problem instead. That coaching advice sounds simple, but it was huge for me. If you need more weekly leaders, try it out. Set aside 1 hour, just 1 hour every week to solve the problem. Talk on the phone with a potential small group leader. Take someone to coffee and boldly invite them, draw them into serving weekly. Pray for a brand new idea. Spend an hour doing research or networking with another church leader for a breakthrough idea. Because you know what? You won't recruit consistent small group leaders just by talking about it. You've got to attack that problem every week by asking every week. Oh yeah. But you know what? I got to tell you this. Before you start asking someone every week, there's something that you're going to want to think about first. Ask them to do something they'll enjoy. Before you start asking your volunteers to serve consistently, look around at your ministry and ask, if I wasn't on staff, would I want to serve here? Ask yourself, is your ministry a healthy environment for volunteers? Are they being well cared for? Are they being listened to? Are they being honored and appreciated? Are they hearing the vision every week so they never forget why what they're doing really matters? And who feels responsible for making sure that all of that happens? Before you try to recruit more weekly volunteers, you got to work on the experience those volunteers will have if they say yes. If you're not sure what your volunteers really think about their serving experience in your ministry, find out. Ask around and then change what you need to change in order to make your ministry an environment that attracts volunteers. Because if you're going to ask leaders to serve consistently, you got to ask them to do something that they'll really enjoy. Okay, number 5, last but not least, start asking now. When I sit down with next gen leaders to help them figure out how many small group leaders they need serving in their ministries, they often feel overwhelmed, like, oh my goodness. If every small group leader serves weekly, Sue, that's a lot of people to recruit. Please, just remember this. You don't have to transition your entire ministry or every small group leader all at once. If the idea of weekly small group leaders is a new one for your ministry, start slow. Start with something manageable. You don't have to do it all right now, but you can start right now. Start by choosing just one grade level. Find consistent small group leaders for that one grade and ask those leaders to be your pioneers. Then throughout the year, give those leaders a spotlight. Let them share their stories, their wins, and their experiences with the next age group that you want to target. So their influence trickles down through the ministry. Let the example of your pioneers convince the rest of your small group leaders how much serving weekly really matters. Some leaders like to start with the oldest grade. Others like to start with the youngest. It doesn't always matter where you start. The point is, you simply start. Start asking. Start somewhere and start now. I really want to encourage you as you take this big step toward asking your small group leaders to serve weekly. Sure, I know your volunteers might respond a little timidly in the beginning. That's okay. But let me tell you, once they see the impact that they can make in the lives of their few when they serve every week, I know they won't be sorry. Remember, your small group leaders need you to keep drawing them towards serving more and more consistently over time because they were made by God to serve. They want to make a difference and you can help them do it. Isn't that exciting? I mean, there's nothing like being a part of God's big story. It is better than anything. So here's my challenge just for you. Go ahead, just ask.